Listen to Mark Golding critiquing a newly proposed special consumption tax on sweetened beverages in Jamaica.
Greetings. Our spokesperson on finance, Julian Robinson, did a video on the proposed tax measure to impose a SCT, a special consumption tax on sweetened beverages, and I just wanted to add my own take on it as well. Now, what I would say is this, a lot of the commentators have been applauding this as being, a public health measure because we all know that sweet drinks and too much sugar are not good for the health. It contributes to obesity, that's people are excessively overweight. It also contributes to diabetes and hypertension and other chronic illnesses. But the reality is that this measure is nothing to do with public health. First of all, the government itself is projecting that it will collect $10.1 billion in the coming fiscal year by this tax. Now, if the tax was designed to reduce consumption of sweetened drinks, then they wouldn't be able to collect the tax revenue that they're projecting that they will collect. So the very fact that they intend to collect $10.1 billion from these sweetened beverages indicates that they well know that consumption patterns are unlikely to be affected by this and that people will buy them nevertheless, but it will just cost them more. And of course, when you look at the way the country is structured, most of the people who will be buying this are persons from lower income groups. So it's going to effectively become a $10.1 billion tax on lower income Jamaicans.
Having listened to what he had to say, let's explore the facts. It is clear that the tax is designed to create revenue, to support the budget. It is also fair to say that the move by the government is not geared primarily at changing behavior. As a matter of fact, whenever the government wants to change behavior, such measures usually carry stiff penalties. So, does this mean that there will be no overall reduction in the consumption of sugary drinks or any change in behavior? The simple answer is no, not necessarily. It is a given that people spend according to their disposable income, and these drinks are not addictive to the point that people will spend money they don't have just to satisfy a sweet tooth. So, while this tax measure is not entirely designed by default to change behavior, there definitely will be consequences, even if temporarily, depending on increased cost and affordability. Making an argument for low-income groups who engage in unhealthy lifestyles, while emotionally convenient and satisfying, is not a good nor a strong basis for an argument. Because in the long run, these are the very persons who will put a strain on the health system due to dietary and preventable health conditions, if things continue as they are and nothing changes. Therefore, it is stretching his position to say that this will effectively become a $10.1 billion tax on lower-income Jamaicans who still have a choice as to how much they are willing to spend. Golding does have a valid point on the second issue, when he said that if the tax measure were structured and designed with the intention of reducing the amount of sugar consumed by the population, then the tax would increase as the sugar content increases.
Secondly, the design of the tax has nothing to do with public health. It is a tax on the volume of the container where the sweetened beverages are. So it depends on the volume of liquid in it. There is the amount of tax that would be paid. It has nothing to do with how much sugar is in the drink. So there's nothing in the tax to incentivize a manufacturer who makes a drink to incentivize them to reduce the quantum of sugar in the drink. Because whether the drink is very sweet or medium sweetness or not sweet at all, the tax is the same. So if you were structuring a measure to design with a design to reduce the amount of sugar consumed by the population, you would make it so that the tax is more if the sugar content is higher. That's not the way this tax is structured. It's a tax on the volume of the drink, not on how sweet the drink is or how much sugar is in the drink. So again, don't be fooled by what is being said about this. The reality is it's a tax to fund the budget, and it's going to be borne primarily by lower income groups, and therefore it's going to make it harder for Jamaicans who are already reeling under the pressures caused by Hurricane Melissa on the economy generally and in Western Jamaica in particular. Thanks for listening.
The fact has already been established that this is a revenue-making tax, and Mark Golding is making an exaggerated statement by saying that the imposition of a tax on sugary drinks will be borne primarily by lower-income groups, and that it will make it harder for Jamaicans who are already reeling under the pressures caused by Hurricane Melissa on the economy generally and in Western Jamaica in particular. Making a case specifically for Western Jamaica is very curious, given that half of the country was not badly affected and also consumes sugary drinks. Jamaicans are survivors and are more intelligent than they are given credit for. Overall, while Mark Golding is correct about the intention of the tax, his argument about the consequences of the tax is greatly over-exaggerated, knowing that Jamaicans have a choice between drinking sugary drinks and choosing healthier alternatives. What do you think? Leave your comment, and remember to subscribe.